So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this channel, this angle iron, and I'm going to fire up my jigsaw and cut it into 4-inch squares so that I can, or 4-inch pieces, so that I can actually make a square framework. And you just got to be real careful with it, because I can't tell you how many blades I've gone through by trying to go too fast. If you take it nice and slow and easy, keep the blade nice and straight, you just kind of work your way in nice and gentle, not too fast, relax, become one with the blade, go right on the tip of that blade, and come on across nice and easy. So what happens is you'll end up cutting a nice little 4-inch piece of angle iron that I then can turn into the framework that I'm going to do for the actual outside of this. So we'll see how that goes. Then we do the same thing with the next one. We put some glue in each of the corners. We bring the pieces over and put them into place nice and gentle. One there, then one over on this side here. Squeeze them back together so that they're nice and square and up against the template. That way when I put my wood on, they're going to fit inside, or actually on the outside of the aluminum, and attach, so that this will be the framework. One on the top, one on the bottom, so it keeps them nice and square and straight, so that when this guy goes on here again, it will look like that all the way around with a candle in the middle that'll glow. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm anxious to keep going on it. Never built one before. Kind of just came to me, well, like I said, I was out sitting in a hot tub a couple days ago, and I went, well, that might be kind of a cool project to try. Let's just try that one. So here we go. And of course, like everything else, it's hard to really determine how much glue you need to make, and I made too much, so I'm actually going to accidentally waste it, but I don't see anything else that I need to glue. Maybe I might put some down in here to help it hold it a little bit more. Okay, well, I feel a little goofy doing this, but I'm going to try it anyways because it'll be kind of fun, and I've got this set up, so it'll be something that will be worthwhile, I guess. What I've done is I've taken some Pondo pine bark. I cut it into strips with the outer edge, the nice looking outer edge, and I've cut them into a size that's a 4.5 inch by 4.5 inch. Then I went and I got some angle iron, and in one of the other videos you'll see that I cut 4 little pieces and I glued and made a framework. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this framework and I'm going to glue it onto the top of this piece here, and this is going to be the bottom, and I've left the angles up on this one so that I can lay a piece of wood down in here, because ultimately once I get these glued on and into place, it's going to sit like this, and then 2 more pieces will go on the top, and then 4 on each side, 2 on each of the other sides. And then I can drop a 3-inch candle down in it, and what will happen is you'll see this from the outside, and what'll be the green moss will be reflective through with the candle. I'm thinking it'll glow real nice through the opening of the Pondo bark and through the moss, and be kind of a cool thing. So anyways, that's what I'm working on right now. I'm going to make a batch of glue, and then I'll put it together and let you know what I'm doing next. Kind of fun. So we've probably all gone through a lot of different types of glues over the years that we've tried, whether it's wood glue or metal glue or glass glue. I found this one was pretty good, the JB Weld Clear Weld. It's a pretty killer weld. It's quick setting. It's a 2-part mix you can spray out onto the top of, like, say, a napkin or something, and stir it up real good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 outer pieces off. I'm going to put a pretty good sized gob, enough that it will hold the aluminum, but not that it will go out onto my wood frame here. And the next thing I know, I can't get my aluminum off of my frame. So I'm going to put a little bit there. Take some of this off of here. Put a little bit there. You don't need a real lot with this stuff. It's pretty good stuff, but you want it to work. So put a little bit there. Put a little bit there. Then I come back into lining my frame up on my template. Put my pieces in where they're going to go. Get them relatively square, then squeeze them together. And then when you pinch them together, you want to make sure that it sets inside that 4.5 by 4.5 inch template that we made, so that it too will be square when we're done. Pull your hands away nice and clean, and then do the next one. Okay, so I've glued both sets with the JB Weld. I can take this now and throw it away. You don't want to get that on your clothes or on your fingers. It's some pretty sticky stuff. And I've glued them on top of a piece of plastic. And the reason I do that is because once the JB Weld dries, if I just would have left it on the wooden board here, I'd never get it off. So I do it on a Ziploc baggie or a small little piece of plastic. That way the plastic peels away and you don't have any problems with removing it. And then every now and then just go back and make sure that it looks like it's nice and square. Doesn't have to be perfect because the Pondo pine hides a lot of imperfections. But yeah, that's it so far. It's looking like it's good. I'm going to let those dry and I'll go back into cutting my Pondo pines. So people have asked me how am I making my lantern, flameless candle lanterns. And I started out by showing before that I take this piece of 1/2 by 1/2 wood and I cut the individual pieces to make the square that I want. In this particular one, I'm going for a 2-inch diameter by 3-inch tall, flameless, battery-operated candle. And then what I also did was I took big chunks of Pondo pine and I ran them through my jigsaw to make them thin and short. And then I cut them all to 6 inches tall for this particular candle size. Then when I get the pieces, I made them up so that they're the same width all the way across. And then what I start to do is I take 2 sets at a time, or 2 pieces at a time, and I attach them to the outside of the rectangle that I made with the 1/2 by 1/2 wood. And this is what it starts to look like as we get going. I'm just putting 2 sides on right now. And what I look at is to see what's it look like out here. So I put the rough cut to the outside that's got the best texture and makes it really look like it's you know, raw Pondo. You can see the edges, the rough cut edge of it, so that when I hang the moss down in there, the candle will shine through it and make it look nice and all that good stuff. So right now what I've got is I've got the one side together with the top and the bottom, and it's in the gluing stages right now. And I'll do this one, let it set for a little while, go do something else, and I'll come back, take the clamps off, and then I'll do another side. And slow by slow, I put all 4 sides all the way around on the actual candle substructure itself. I don't know. I'm kind of digging this remote control camera thing. It's kind of fun. What I've done now is I've got at least the one side on. The other side isn't on yet. It's just kind of sitting there. But the first original ones have started to harden up. So now I'm coming around with the other ones, which are these 2 guys here. And putting them in place. And then ultimately I'll do these 2 as well. Then I can come back in, which would be the real fun part, I think, and start taking some of this moss and lacing it. I think I'm also going to, sometimes you can roll it a little bit, put it into like a little rope look, and then just come back in and either hot glue it or glue it into here. And what will happen is I get lots of it. There's a bunch of it that's all up through the woods and stuff, and I come in and collect it. And then we'll take it and cut it and stick it down in there to fit, so that when I stick the candle down in the middle, it'll turn out to be beautiful. And I made sure that my opening up here was wide enough to allow a 3-inch wide, or diameter, by 4-inch tall flameless remote control candle. So I can just stand back here and start it up and light it all up and all that stuff. So anyways, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I don't think I'm going to put a top on it. I haven't decided about any kind of a top. I don't know if I necessarily want to leave the aluminum showing. I might take a wire brush and burnish it and do little thumb twists on it. Maybe that might give it some texture. I'm not sure about that. Right now I'm still focusing on this here. But anyway, that's to see right there, coming along. Okay, well, while the glue's drying and the clamps are holding everything in place, now I'm starting to come up into a little bit more of the window dressing. What I've done is I found some beaver chews down on the Columbia River. That's these little white guys right here that were chews off of a tree. The beaver like to eat the bark, but they leave the stick itself floating on the water or up along the shoreline. So we collect them, and what I've done is I've found some that fit right into the corners and cut them top-wise, at least for right now. What I'm going to do then is that'll fill those corners up a little bit more, rather than getting too much moss on it. And so I've kind of got those basically in place where they're going to be, but I don't know. I'm thinking that it's time to take a break. It's almost 4 o'clock. That's sake time for me. So this is what I'm going to end up with today and how it looks so far. And I'll show you more of it as we go along. But it's kind of fun using my new little camera here, taking pictures of what I do. Most of the time I just sit out here and talk to myself. Now I get to talk to a camera, which is talking to myself. So, adios. Okay, so what I've been doing is taking my glue gun, shoving it down in there as far as I can to lay a really good layer of wax or glue all the way down, and let it kind of drip down the side because it won't reach all the way down. And then I'm also putting some across the bottom here and on the sides that I can get from the outside. And then laying that down, then getting your moss, not moss, lichen, kind of making it into a nice little pattern, getting some of the sticks and stuff out of it. I don't mind if it's going to be too big for right now because I'm going to come back in and trim it all out anyways. But we bring it down through here, bring it out the bottom so it kind of covers that piece of angle iron down there that we had put in, so it looks like it's just moss down there. And then we pat it from the inside out up against the glue that we just stuck in there. We're going to put a little bit of glue up on the front side here. Bring that out like this and then up like that. I'll tell you what, you get that glue on your fingers, it burns pretty good. So got to be kind of careful with what you're doing. Then I'm going to thin it out a little bit from the front side so that when the candle gets in there, it won't be too thick to where you won't be able to see the candle burning on the inside. And then there's what we're kind of looking at here. I can turn it like this, I guess. And then like that. And like that. That's what it's going to look like. And then, sort of like trimming a beard, you come back in on the outside and you cut off all the lichen that is just too excessive and sticking out all over the place. It doesn't look good. So it's got a nice clean front on it. And looks like you know what you're doing. Anyhow, that's getting pretty close. I looked at my candles coming tomorrow, so I'll be able to put that in. You'll notice I didn't put any of the beaver chews in here yet, but what I did do is I stained them that kind of brown color that I was telling you about that you can do with the steel wool. And then they're going to go in something similar to that, I think, tomorrow. I haven't decided officially to put that in. I might still put maybe some more lichen down in the corners, but I don't want to get too much lichen either. So we'll see what happens there, but that's kind of what I'm working on now is this. Adios. Okay, well, first of all, let me take my hat off so I don't look quite so stupid. Today what I've done is I've taken the corner pieces that we talked about going into each one of the corners, and I decided I liked it. It would be too much moss in each of those, or not moss, but lichen in each one of those corners if I would have just done that. So I've taken these, I've stuck them in my little special sauce I told you about that's stainless steel wool and vinegar, and it turns them into a nice, almost like a barnwood, kind of a brown color. And then what I've done, I put some plastic down so that the glue won't stick to my Lazy Susan. And what I'm doing now is I'm putting these corner pieces in each of the corners to kind of seal up that open area there. You'll see like right here that it's kind of open, and what's going to happen is this is going to ultimately come up and then go back into there. And it just kind of makes it look a little bit nicer, adds a little bit more dimension to it. They're beaver chews, so they're kind of cool. I not only stained them, but then I round them out on the grinder so that they got a nice round head on them. I'm gluing them in with the killer glue, the what we call the clear weld, JB clear weld, so they're going to stay in there nice and strong. And then I taped them to stay in place so that they'll stay there till they go off. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I was kind of bummed out the candle lamp did not come today. And I guess it's not going to come till maybe tomorrow or the next day. So I'm going to finish this up with the corner post and then put it off on the side and start something different. But I thought I'd show you that today. Adios. Okay, so I finished the actual lamp itself. I put the top on it now with the pieces all glued. I put the corner pieces in. I put the witch lichen hanging in it so that it's all through the sides everywhere. And what I've done now is I've taken some candles that I bought from Amazon that are flameless candles. They're really cool. They're nice and bright and they look really good. And what I did was I took some wire and I made a little wire hanger for it, so that what I can do is I can then turn this on. Let's see what my little switch is here. I can turn that light, that little candle on, and then what will happen is, you can't see it right now, but maybe I can drop that down into there and turn off my light and sort of show you, it's still pretty bright in the studio itself, but show you that the candle glows inside there, which is really kind of nice. So I think I'm pretty much done. And then if you want, you can reach back down into it. Let me turn the light on here for a second. If you want to, you can reach back down into it and turn it back off again. These candles are set so that whatever time you start them at, say you started at 7 at night, it'll run for, I think, 6 hours, shut off by itself, and then tomorrow it starts at 7 o'clock and it'll continue to do that. So this is the project all finalized with the candle, the holder, the brackets, the lichen, the pondo pine, and the whole bit. So I'm real happy with it. It turned out really nice.